Okay, let's begin the tax budget hearing portion of the meeting. If you could refer to the tax budget there on the agenda. I want to give you a few items of information before we start. This document is required by the Greene County Auditor, and the purpose is important to note. This is not a budget like we typically consider a budget where you're appropriating money to be spent in certain line items and all that. That's not what this is. This is mainly so that the Greene County Auditor and Treasurer's Office can set the bond millage rate when applied to our property value in the district will yield the amount of money necessary to pay our principal and interest on our bond issue we passed to build this building, buy the land that it's built on, and renovate all the other buildings in 2003, 4, 5, and 6. So that's the main purpose of this, and I just want to say that up front. Page 1, and just if you have a question, interrupt me. I tend to roll right along, maybe too quickly. Page 1 was given to me by the county auditor. It's not my document, but it details all the levies that have passed in our district over the years, with the village listed, the date they were passed, and the amount that they still yield today, the right column. The date that they passed changes. There's one of the methods that districts use, and we used a lot over the years, is replacing a levy. You take an old levy that is the village supplied to old property values that were in place when the village was passed. We replace it to today's values, and we get it more of a yield, and they change the date of vote. So if we had an old levy that was passed in 1975, we replaced it to today. The date of vote column there would show it as a 2024 date. So that's why some of these dates aren't in order. They were originally in chronological order, and they changed to replace levies. So you can see, for instance, right in the middle there, I think the 6th row, it says general outside 4 mills. Passed in 1975, it only yields 530,000. So if you can do the math, that's about $125,000 a mill. And now, today, we fast forward 49 years or whatever that is, and we see there in the top right portion of this page, it says tax year 2024 estimated value $878 million. So a mill is 1/1000th of that number, and 1 mill on a levy in this district would yield $878,000 of revenue. And remember the example I just gave, it would yield 125,000. So we went from 125 to 878,000 over that period of time. So we have each of the levies listed, and in the total general, we had 59.3 mills voted in over the years, over the last 50 years, and it's estimated this year being July 1st, 24 to June 30, 25. That's the period covered by this tax budget. It would yield $24,218,000 as estimated by the county auditor. The next line there is the emergency levy we passed May 4th, 2021, $3.22 million. An emergency levy yields exactly what you passed. So every year it's going to bring in $3.22 million, and the millage, the 3.67 mills, will be adjusted upwards or downwards so that the yield will be 3.22 million. Any question about that? That's kind of confusing, but it's not as simplified as I can.
So when the millage is changed, like when that adjusts to save our taxpayers?
Theoretically, yes, because what's happened is in many cases we've had more people move in, so the same amount of money is going to be yielded to us, and it's spread over more taxpayers. Yes, unless there's a change, like add addition to your house or something like that, that adds a lot of value. And then the important one though is the 2003 bond row. It says 3.4 mils. That was set by the auditor, and it's estimated to yield $2,928,000. That's significant because of what I'm going to show you in a minute on the next page, our debt, our bond debt. And basically, as I said before, the auditor is setting that millage to yield enough money, that bond issue to pay our principal and debt. And we'll see that in a second. And then the last line there is permanent improvement. A 2 mil levy was passed originally before I got here, and I've been here forever. So probably in the 1990s or something, it was originally passed. It was replaced on March 4th, 2008, and it's expected to yield $918,000. And I will address in a minute what that could be spent for, that money. Any question on the first page? Okay. If you look at the next page, it's a small snippet of our amortization schedule showing our bond issue debt. The fiscal year 32 we will be paying, which is actually December 1st, 2031 is when we will be paying off the bond issue that was passed in 2003 or 2004 possibly, I don't remember the exact year. And it shows how much we need principal and interest each year to pay on that. And you can see there, if you look at that first area up there, that it's about 2.8 roughly, or a little more than that, that we need in 20 million to make our payment. And that's what the auditor has set that's why the auditor set the millage at 3.4 to yield that amount of money. The next page is the bond retirement breakout. The 002 is the bond retirement fund. It's just a little exercise in a simple spreadsheet where I'm supposed to detail the 3 years of history and then what the estimate is for the tax budget period of 24-25, and what I guess there are any balances going to be, which is also comes into play on setting bond rate. What's our balance in the bond retirement fund, and how much will be yielded by the 3.4 mills. Any questions on any of that? It's kind of deep stuff, but we're required to do this. And then the next page is the 003 fund, permanent improvement. This fund is the one that we had the 2 mil levy for, it was passed long ago and replaced in 2008. This goes, in our district, we spend this money on things like school buses, building repair, roof situation. We had very expensive HVAC chiller to get out, like $600,000. Paid for that out of this money. Our debt, we can pay debt on a lease purchase out of this money. Any capital purchases we have, technology, curriculum. So the only requirement is it has to be something that is estimated to last more than 1 year. So we're not buying supply type items, it's equipment or repair type of things, capital stuff. And that's really handy because if the district doesn't have a permanent improvement levy, they can get out of general fund. And in many cases that hurts your financial situation or less than the general fund can take. Then the last page of the tax budget is the one that lists about 10 funds, and these are the ones that do not involve tax dollars at all, property tax dollars at all. They're things like student activity account for principal's fund, the athletic accounts, they're self-supporting, and then all those, the last 7 are state and federal grants that are issued to us. And so probably the main thing for you all to see would be the estimated receipts column. If you look at that, the lunchroom would bring in about $1,050,000 a year and spend about the same amount. I think it might be interesting to some that our athletic department, we receive about $925,000, spend about the same amount each year. This varies, of course, it's just an estimate. And then in that same column, how much each one of these grants bring into the district. It's not a lot of federal money we get because most of these grants are based upon residential income or items like that. And you know, we're one of the top income level, property value level per student districts in the state of Ohio. So we're not eligible for most of these grants at a high level at least. Any questions on that page? So the only other thing I have is that I wanted to mention when I filed this this tax budget with the county auditor tomorrow morning. I'll file everything to show you. In addition, I have to file a 5-year forecast. I didn't attach that to your information because we've already reviewed that past it. I didn't think we need to again, with the assumptions that go along with it. And then, I know this is a little archaic, but we have to advertise the budget hearing in a newspaper. And so the Senior Gazette got some of our money for legal ad, and I have to show a copy of that as proof that we published that, and that we have had this tax hearing, so that this is going to get the minutes that we did this made available to the public. So, any other questions about the tax budget? That's all I've got to present. Okay. So the other thing we need to do tonight, we'll vote on this in the regular meeting, or the reorganizational meeting, by the way. But the other thing I want to do tonight, it's a requirement of the state auditor's office that you have a records retention committee that meets at least once a year. The records retention officer in every school in the state is the school treasurer. So you can have your records retention committee as large as you want to. It's really a quite simple task, I think. We have a records retention schedule that tells us how long we have to keep every type of record. And we just follow that schedule, and when we, this is the part that gets detailed though. When you have items that need to be destroyed, you have to separate those out, list all the items that you're destroying, send that to the Ohio Historical Society. They approve that they don't want any of those items. Then you send to the state auditor's office, they approve that we can destroy them, and then we destroy the records. That's why I wait until I have a ton of records to destroy and do it all at once rather than doing something every year. It's just kind of a big hassle to go through all the steps, and you miss a step along the way to do something, get a citation from the auditor. So in our district, the records retention committee is the treasurer, the superintendent, and board president. And so I've reviewed all the records, and we have no records this year that we want to destroy. So unless the superintendent or board president states otherwise, I will put in the minutes that the records commission met at this meeting and determined that there are no records to destroy for 2024. Okay. And that's all that I have until 7 o'clock.
We'll just pause for a couple minutes and we will begin our regular meeting in 2 minutes.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I will administer the oath of office to our new board member, Dr. Pryor. You would read the oath of office. Raise your right hand.
I, Ann Pryor, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education in and for the said Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Local School District, Greene County, Ohio, to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during my continuance in said office and until my successor is elected and qualified.
Sign.
Step up front. So good evening. It's now just a little bit after 7 p.m. on January 11th, 2024. And I'd like to welcome everyone in the room and those who are participating online as I call to order this meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. We value everyone's input and have made sure to dedicate a portion of this meeting to hear from you. We look forward to your comments during that time as indicated on the agenda. So with that, Mr. Lyman, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Dorn?
Here.
Mr. Kinsey?
Present.
Mr. Price is absent, and Mrs. Pryor.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum. So our first order of business is we are looking for nominations for officers. So kind of how this will work, we'll start with president. Anybody who wants to nominate any board member for president can do so at any time. Nominations don't need a second. We don't vote on nominations. And then whenever it seems like nominations are no longer forthcoming, we do take a motion to close nominations. We'll get a second and we'll vote on that. So any nominations for president?
I think you've done a superb job. We've said before that the role of president is not any additional power and a lot of additional work. I personally would like you to continue in that role. So I will nominate Mr. Kinsey.
Other nominations for president?
I'll move to close nomination.
That motion does need a second.
Yes. Is there a second to close? So moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Mrs. Anderson to close nominations for president. So now we're just voting to close nominations. You're not voting for anybody yet. So vote yes if you want to close nominations. Mr. Lyman, please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Okay, nominations are now closed. So now we are forced to go around. Mr. Lyman calls each of us by name, and you say the name of the nominee that you want to be president.
Mrs. Anderson?
Mr. Kinsey.
Mr. Kinsey? Dr. Pryor?
Mr. Kinsey.
And Mrs. Dorn?
Kinsey.
Super awkward. We get to do it again for vice president. Anybody want to do nominations for vice president? I will nominate Mrs. Dorn. You've done a great job filling in.
I'll let you stay. Well, ma'am, don't miss meetings.
Other nominations for vice president? Okay, I will take a motion to close nominations. Okay, so I will move to close nominations. That sounds good. It's seconded by Mrs. Anderson. So we will now vote to close nominations on vice president. Mr. Lyman, please call the roll.
Okay, Mrs. Anderson?
This is
Yes.
a
Closing
yes.
nominations.
Yes. Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Okay, we'll now take a name vote for vice president.
Mrs. Anderson?
Dorn.
Mrs. Dorn?
Dorn.
Mr. Kinsey?
Mrs. Dorn.
Dr. Pryor?
Mrs. Dorn.
Okay, that is that. Now we get to move into the fun stuff. Very good. We move into good news recognition. We have two very distinguished educators we're looking at with us. If Mrs. Sadler and Mrs. Sumner are coming up. So 25 years of service between both of you. It's unbelievable. Just thank you so much for what you've done for our students, for our schools, for our community. Please, any words you'd like to share?
Just that it's the best job I've ever had. Just the kids. I just want to say that I've been blessed and grateful to have been at Bellbrook my entire teaching career and at Bellbrook Middle School. Many parents, staff, and students, which I see a few here, have touched my heart, and I hope that I've made a difference as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much for everything. Up next, we have a few student athletes to recognize. If you gentlemen, why don't you just join me up here? And we'll get the opportunity to maybe say a few words if you like at the end. You're looking sharp. I could have worn my letterman jacket probably back in the 1900s. So, Riley Farron. So, Mr. Farron, second team All-Ohio kicker. Congratulations. Alex Gloria. Gloria, second team All-Ohio defensive line. Jacob Yumina. Second team All-Ohio as a linebacker. Charlie Owens. Honorable mention All-Ohio offensive line. Thank you so much for representing our school so well.
Hang on, wrong ones, real quick. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Great, good job, guys.
Anything you'd like to say?
Say thank you to my teammates and my parents for always being in practice on time, taking care of me, and the whole football community keeping us together as a team, taking over the football moms club, all that. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, January is School Board Appreciation Month. As the year starts out, we have new members. Dr. Pryor is our newest member, so welcome to Dr. Pryor. But on behalf of the students, the staff, administration, the community, just a sincere thanks to the school board. I know it's a really difficult job and provide a critical link between the community and the school district, civil servants. And I know you don't get paid a lot of money, very minimal pay for doing this job and his countless hours. And he spent a lot of time and effort, energy, and stress on behalf of the school district and to make it the best school district as possible. And being the leader of that, of one of 8 school districts in the state of Ohio, has 5 stars on all of our different components and overall. So a sincere thank you from myself and from everybody else on School Board Appreciation Month. So I have some certificates here. So this is Norm. Thank you. Yeah. Dr. Pryor. Yeah, that's all right. That's for the whole year. See, it's like proactive. Yes. Mr. Kinsey. Yeah. Mrs. Anderson. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Liming, going to your portion of the consent agenda. Number 5, the agenda, minor Xbox, for all the standing authorizations.
Right, and that would be 1 through 8.
We need to pause.
Yeah, please feel free if anybody wants to sit down. That is very much
For
okay.
coming.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Spell that somewhere. Somewhere. I'm gonna just ignore that.
So we will be approving 1 through 8, so my part of the consent agenda. And these are the resolutions that we pass, approvals that we make every year, so nothing's new here. So I'm just going to hit a couple of these, and if you have any questions about any other thing I didn't hit, let me know. Number 2 there, recommending service fund established for $4,000. That is a small amount, but it's for fiscal year 24 for professional meetings of Board of Education. So to attend capital conference or anything else you might do, at this point, the budget $4,000 there. Of course, this can be changed during the year. If something comes up that we feel is necessary to go to, or before you see that, we can just pass out a resolution to increase that amount. Number 3 is to appoint superintendent as representative of federal programs. We get several federal grants, 6 or 8 a year usually, except during COVID where we got more than that. But you have to have a representative, an authorized representative that's not the treasurer, to have the dual approval of grants and any amendments to the grants. And so that would be appointed superintendent to do that part. The first bullet there, the treasurer is authorized to secure advances from Tree County Auditor as people pay their property taxes, instead of having to wait until the final settlement about 2 months after the tax bills go out. We can draw money along the way once a week, so that I don't know why some of the folks know to secure advance draws in advance, because we can immediately start investing the money. We don't get any investment interest. It's held by the Green County Auditor and Treasurer's offices, so we do that, and we do, as you know, get a large portion of our revenue from property taxes because of the way the state funds school districts. Superintendent is authorized to employ temporary personnel as needed for emergency situations. If we need a school teacher to be in a class and we don't have a board meeting coming up, that can be done in advance of the board voting in an emergency situation. We have I get asked this once in a while, why is there something in there about the treasury authorized to borrow money if needed? The if needed part is very important. We don't plan to need to borrow money for a long time, so, but if we do, if there is a financial emergency where we need to borrow money, the procedure to do that in the state of Ohio takes about a month to go through. So, step one is for the board to authorize that. If you already have that in place, that's going to save us some time instead of trying to get a meeting together. Then we got a bunch of, I think, pretty self-explanatory items there. The last bullet point is the treasurer's authorized to act as district public records designee. We just talked about the records retention committee and earlier tonight. Number 5 is what we just went through also, where the president pro tem, the incumbent president serves as president pro tem at the organizational meeting. Waiving the reading of the minutes. If we don't pass that, we're supposed to read aloud the minutes from the previous meeting, each meeting. And then one of the important things that we do, saves us a lot of money, is to join the Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council and the Ohio Purchasing Cooperative Purchasing Program, where we can buy in quantity items like school buses, school supplies, insurance. Many items can go through the EPC, and also membership in the Ohio School Board Association. So with this consent vote, all those items will be approved. If there's something you want to pull out and vote on separately, you can do that. Or if there are some of these that you would like further explanation on, vote for questions this time.
Is there anything anybody wants to pull out separately? Okay, I will take a motion from somebody to approve this consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Dr. Pryor. More questions? Probably not. All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, moving into the treasurer's report, could I get a motion to approve the minutes of the December 14th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Dorn. Questions, corrections? Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of December 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn and then Mrs. Anderson.
The financial report's on the website, and not too much. We are halfway through the fiscal year as of the end of December, and we are on track. What I consider the important line items: district salaries, district benefits, real estate revenue, state funding revenue. We are all right around the 50% mark, with 50% of the year lapsed. So budget, compared to our budget at the beginning of fiscal year, even toward the end of June, we're pretty much right on where we need to be in all the big areas with our budget line items and with pie charts showing how we spend our money, things like that. So, any questions about any of the financial report information?
Please call the roll.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve the tax budget as reviewed, 6:45 this evening in the budget, tax budget hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn and Mrs. Anderson. Anything else after Mr. Lining's presentation earlier? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Anything else, sir?
One more.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to approve a new student activity account, which would be the Bellbrook High School Prom Committee, fund number 200, it's supposed to be 29102.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mrs. Anderson and then Dr. Pryor.
I should mention that was requested by Mr. Hand, Vice President.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dorr?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Anything else, sir? No. Thank you very much. Number 7 on our agenda, this is an opportunity for board members to share any correspondence you may have received for the benefit of the board. All right, we will move into open communication period. Anybody on the list? Mr. Conti? Okay, very good.
My first
Thank you, Lisa.
I apologize.
Yeah, because your thoughts and comments are very welcome during this time. When given the floor, please share your name, address, and any group affiliation you hold if it's relevant. You'll then have 5 minutes for your comments, which should be directed toward the presiding officer, who tonight happens to be me. This time is for the board to listen and absorb. As such, traditionally, a dialogue is not created in this moment. In case you're wondering, the reason for these policies, which can be read in their entirety on the district's website, in policy number 169.91, is to ensure that as many people as possible have the opportunity to speak and that everyone is treated equally and fairly. So I would like to welcome Jill Jones. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Wherever you're comfortable, if you'd rather be at the podium or wherever you'd like to
You'll have to forgive me, this is my first rodeo.
That's okay. We're glad you're here.
I am Jill Jones. I'm the parent of an 8th grade Bellbrook Middle School student, Peyton Jones. Peyton was the victim of a violent assault on school property last Thursday on January the 4th. I was notified by the school that during the class change to 5th period, he was chased into his ELA classroom by 2 students, where he was then attacked by 1 student. He was put in a chokehold with 2 arms. He was able to break free and thrown to the floor. When he got up and tried to defend himself against his attacker, who was a head taller than him, he didn't really stand a chance, and that child grabbed him with such force by the back of his head and slammed his face onto the corner of the countertop that blood splattered. This is what I've heard from the other students that have been traumatized. I took him to the emergency room at Children's Liberty, where a CT scan confirmed a nasal bone fracture that was both comminuted and displaced. In layman's terms, for anyone not in the medical field, that means his nose was shattered. He had to get 3 sutures for a laceration on the side of his eye. On Monday, we went to see a plastic surgeon at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And yesterday, my child went through reconstructive surgery to reduce the fracture. He was initially, I know that you all are not allowed to disclose the disciplinary record for another child, but I do know how to ask the right questions. I am well informed. I have looked at the Ohio State law. I have read on the Bellbrook school policies for how this should be handled, a 0 tolerance policy for bullying. A 5-day suspension for a category 2 aggravated assault, unacceptable. I've been in contact with the Bellbrook Police Department, Sugarcreek Township rather. They are filing. Hopefully they will get third degree felony aggravated assault charge. I presented it to Dr. Kozak, and I appreciate your time on the phone Tuesday. The response that I got, and I want to back up, because the middle school's been amazing. Because the principal, the vice principal, the nurse, the teachers, the parents, the community, the kids. I am a proud Bellbrook parent. And then I talked to Dr. Kozak, who told me that if the situation had been a little different, the injuries wouldn't have been as severe. And I was angry, because that's not what we should be looking at.
I was able to send an email follow-up to our phone call and get a contact back from Jenna Hill. I appreciate all of the time that you have given. Peyton wanted to be here tonight, but he's terrified. My child has lost his confidence. He tried to come to school Monday and he has been doubled over in abdominal pain. My child is not okay. It takes 8 weeks just for the bone to heal. And then how much longer for the trauma? He's not okay. I appreciate all of you giving me the time. I didn't even know this meeting was happening. So I was a little caught off guard, but thank you for hearing me tonight. I appreciate it. Honestly. It's okay. I sit back down.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And that closes tonight's open communication period. And we'd now like to move on in our agenda and welcome President of the Teachers Union, Mr. Mark Herrera.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
How are you? Board, thank you for your time. We're here this evening. First of all, I'm really sorry. That was very hard to listen to. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
Dr. Pryor, we just wanted to congratulate you on your election to the board and welcome you to this service that you're going to be entering in for 4 years, correct? Is that 4 years? At least. So I just wanted to let you know the SEA is the local affiliate of the Ohio Education Association. By the way, SEA, Sugar Creek Education Association. Local affiliate of the Ohio Education Association, which is a state affiliate of the National Education Association. We are the representation for the bargaining unit. We serve all of the staff. Our purpose is to negotiate salaries and contract language and to just make sure that that language is followed. And in addition to that, we've always served as in my mind, at least a partnership with the district, trying to improve, trying to maintain. And so we look forward to, working together. I understand that we are at least tentatively planning on having a group discussion between our 10 council members and your 5 council members on the 27th possibly, if that's still something that's going on. So I just wanted to say welcome, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk later. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it was really great last year, the meeting that we had.
Yeah, it was very, it was.
Really, I'm glad that that invitation.
So if we can do it again, that'd be great.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Just a minute.
Okay, moving into the superintendent's report.
Yes, so this is for certificated licensed employment, resignation, leave of absence, supplemental duty. So we have a consent agenda, that is A. B is support staff employment, resignation, leave of absence, and then 9C, substitute employment. So in certificated license, we have short-term contract for Nancy Beers, a school counselor at Stephen Bell. Provide some extra support for them. Some unpaid child care leave of absence for Lindsay Thompson and Sarah Ross. Resignation from Jeanette Sigmund, our manager of business, that's effective at the end of the day on June 30th. And then a volunteer, George Brown, for the music department. And then for 9B, we have approval of the following 1-year support staff employment contract for Amanda Brenner as the high school library media specialist. And then substitute employment for the second semester. We have to do this every semester. So there's names on that list for second semester for both classified and certified substitutes.
Do we have a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda number 2?
Moved. Second.
Mrs. Dorn and then Mrs. Anderson. Questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes.
Passes. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Brenner, since you're in the room. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to having you part of the team.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to out-of-state travel for indoor percussion. So recommend approval for the high school indoor percussion to travel to Highland Heights, Kentucky. On March 16th and 17th, they'll be going down and doing a return trip on both of those days, not an overnight trip. Participate in the Winter Guard International Mideast Power Regional Competition. But it is out of state, and that's why they're seeking approval.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Anderson and then Dr. Pryor. Questions?
And the winter guards are they not going into this one, it's just the IP?
It's IPE.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
All right, every semester, we go over first semester bowling reports, and so our numbers, this is broken down by each building. So this is from the first semester this year, not this past year, this year. Stephen Bell had 14, BCI has 2, middle school 12, and the high school 10. Compared to the first semester of last year, our Stephen Bell numbers are up by a fair amount. Our BCI numbers are actually down. Middle school is up a little bit, and high school is up compared to last semester. So obviously, this kind of behavior is not acceptable. We try to have an environment that is safe and welcoming, and if students aren't being safe and welcoming, we are having the appropriate discipline consequences for those students, ranging depending on the situation, but everything up to possibly, depending on what the situation is, detention, in-school suspension, all the way up to 10 days out of school with recommendation for expulsion. So again, we take these situations very seriously and apply the appropriate consequences. It's just item for information or discussion.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I know bullying is like a repeated thing. Would these numbers include like someone getting punched in the face or their nose broken? Like if it was a one-time thing? Or is this
So this is
mostly
a
always
repeated, this is a
Okay.
repeated, so bullying is a repeated offense. So if there's just a one-time fight that happens, this isn't necessarily, this is not involved in those numbers.
And to be clear, probably because this is rather topical, based on earlier discussion, this bullying report is not the extent of discussion on bullying or what happens on bullying. This is just the required report that happens semi-annually, where these numbers in this manner have to be reported to the state. So
Correct.
this is just happens to be on the same tonight, but I think the way it comes across, the way we have to report it to the state just as a number without any context and semi-annually implies that it's not taken seriously. And I want to make sure that that's
That's
clear
100%
that it's
taken seriously, that we strive for and expect a safe and welcoming environment for our students. We've been working on Focus 3 and trying to have a positive learning culture. But the other piece, it's a team effort. We talk about a team effort between the community, the school, staff, students, and parents. And this, just like anything else, is a team effort. Academically, it's a team effort, and behaviorally, it's a team effort. Attendance is a team effort, and so we all need to work together to have a safe and welcoming environment, and if students aren't doing what they need to be doing, then they not only need to have those consequences in those talks at school, but they need to have those consequences in talks at home also, and collaboratively providing not only a safe and welcoming school district, but a safe and welcoming community. Anything else on that? January 27th agenda items. So the January 27th is a Saturday, so this is a board retreat. We retreat all the way to this room. I know when people say retreat, they think of, I don't know, mountains or water or something else. So, but we retreat to this room. It just is an ongoing work session where we tend to, the business that we kind of have this meeting, we tend to either not have that at all, or that's very minimal, and we have discussional topics or learning sessions for the school board, and have some more ongoing conversations among the school board. And last year we invited the unions also to have a conversation with them, so it's a little more casual among the school board. And so I have some topics, but if there's some topics that the school board also would like to put on that agenda, this would be the time to discuss those or throw those out. Or if there's time next week or so, just because we need to create that agenda next week or so, if you have a discussion item or something we want to add to that session, more than happy to put it on our agenda. We have it planned for about 4 hours or so, 3 to 4 hours, and I know it seems like a long time, but it goes really fast. I think last year we were here for 5.5, so it's a little long.
Well, again, I'm glad Mr. Carrera spoiled it, because I was going to mention how much I really enjoyed kind of during our work session when we chatted for quite a while, so I'm really glad that there's a possibility for that. I did want to throw out, and please know, the last thing I want to do is create a burden, or everybody works so hard, and your weekends and your nights are precious, and believe me, I get it, but only if, and no hard feelings at all, if it's not interest, but if the administrators, if principals in another group would like to have a similar informal conversation, kind of like that, about certain topics, I'd welcome that. Sorry?
I would really like that.
But again, no pressure whatsoever. I mean, people got stuff going on, and you got families, and I get it. But if there is interest there, I think that would be great. Just because policy constrains board staff communications in certain ways, it's just a good opportunity.
I can put that down on the agenda, definitely.
But we won't be offended if they would rather be with them.
Absolutely. Or we put that on for next year, or we plan it for June or something like that would be perfectly fine. Have another more informal work session in June or something. No pressure.
Okay. Other agenda items or?
I don't know if this needs to be an agenda item, maybe it does, I don't know. We have a battle rhythm of monthly meetings with a quarterly extra meeting where we get an update on each school building. And then we get periodic reports on different other programs. But I always feel like we're missing some other programs, and what should that battle rhythm really look like? Is there, I certainly would like to hear from special ed as a program, and do a deep dive there. And maybe we've done some transportation, but I don't know if it was a transportation deep dive, more like bus routing thing. And what other programs might be good to be on what I call it, sorry, I work in the military, but a battle rhythm, a periodic update, deep dive on certain special topic areas. And asking you to think through that, and I like joining each building, but is there something that's a district-wide program that we should do similarly as a deep dive?
Okay. So is that either a discussion or thoughts at the January 27th meeting to plan for that? Is that what you're saying, of having a discussion of what those other programs would be? and try to have a,
Yes, or what
Okay.
would that look like,
Okay.
or how, yes.
sure, okay. So I have a few, and I think I'm going to have to probably minimize these or push them to some other meetings because, but some other ideas, unless there was other ideas, I mean, I've shared some previously, but maybe, I know at a previous board meeting, there was wanting to know a little bit more about Focus 3 and a little bit more about artist and teacher, implementation science, those are things. And district goals update, we did district goals, finalized that in October. So providing some type of, it's only been 3, 4, 5 months, but providing a small update on that and maybe talking a little bit about artist and teacher and Focus 3 and implementation science, so the board has a little bit better understanding of that since it is in our district goals. I don't know if we want to, I know last year we looked at Board of Education goals. We want to look at those, trying to put together a board member handbook and trying, maybe we can, maybe roll that out in the meeting and then get thoughts on that also. A board calendar, which would go to what you're talking about, that planning ahead, some type of rhythm of reports so that we know, my administrators know, kind of plan ahead, hey, this program is going to happen in March of every year.
It's usually, yeah, in March we hear from, about gifted services
Right.
or whatever.
And we have bits and pieces of that with the state report card and other things that just naturally happen like in October because that's when they're released. But we could definitely put those things on the calendar and that way we all know that, hey, that's coming up at that. Might be April, might be March, but it's somewhere in that range or somewhere. So we can definitely do that. And then I know we're gonna talk about some committees and other appointments, maybe at that meeting, and we can proactively do that. And so I'm naming off a lot of stuff here, so that's why I might have to pick and choose or get some thoughts from all of you, maybe not tonight or individually or something, maybe what we want to talk about. We can talk about doing a little bit of special education too, if that's something we want to cover at this meeting or at another meeting in the near future. And looking at our science and reading, providing an update of that at the lower grades of science and reading. I know that's a hot topic around the state, and that's something that we're implementing and being very successful with implementing that at our local grades. So is there any of those that we want to prioritize? Because there is probably about 10 things on there, and it's probably not going to fit into 4 hours. And if we have an executive session for anything, maybe take that to 3 hours. That's a lot of stuff in 3 hours.
Do you think there's a significant amount that's changed or has happened so far on the strategic plan that it would be worthwhile, or would that be better suited for later?
I mean, it would just be kind of things that we are starting out with. Depends on if you guys want to find out a little bit more on Focus 3 arts and teacher, implementation science, or if we want to put that in some future meetings, little bits at a time. Rather, maybe one topic in a month, another topic the next month, and that kind of thing, rather than everything during this meeting. I kind of like the idea of that.
Yeah.
Spread it out.
I mean, just for me personally, like one of my big priorities is hearing from our union and our administrators. For sure. So I don't want that to be cut out.
Okay.
At all like that.
Okay. We can spread that out on future meetings in the future.
Like doing the deep dives like Audra suggested, like special ed or whatever. That could be a deep dive.
Okay.
It's possible that I'm the only one who doesn't know what artist and teacher is, or, I don't, then you would send me some information
Sure.
just about those things that
Sure.
I knew they might.
Sure. That's the purpose why we have this meeting in January, so that new board members are on board, at least they get some information about because there's a lot of information to take in. And so definitely, but we can have that in the near future, so that we can learn a little bit more about that.
And also we kind of started that meeting off with just kind of ideas for what we could do better, not like big picture goals, but like I think that's where we decided to start doing consent agendas, because that would be more productive. Or we've switched up how we did public communication a little bit, and now that we've been doing it for a while, do we like it? Like the new 5-minute way, or like, so maybe starting off with some of that, that's just kind of like, let's look at hot wash the last year, what, kind of just like how we operate administratively. Are there things we want to look at or do differently or better?
Okay. Is that part of the Board of Education goals, or is that just a review of the last year kind of thing?
They're tied together, they can all be tied in. Or just.
Can I propose to put the Board of Education goals on there, and then we can talk about it, review, and maybe that would just be the
Or way forward, or,
title,
yeah,
look
if you
at
want
it.
to call it, yes, goals sound so official enough. We're doing official, maybe we can have forward or.
Year in review.
Audra wants to
Look behind, look
continue-
ahead, I don't know.
You're gonna do
Audra
PowerPoint,
wants to
right?
continue the goal of the systematic policy. What's her policy?
Would not categorize it in that way, but.
What about board member handbook? Is that something we want to cover during this?
I think it'd be really good. I know we mentioned it briefly in the previous meeting. I
Right.
think there was a lot of good information there. And I think there's something that once you share it as a draft, getting thoughts, I think it's a good idea.
Special ed update, do we want to do it this meeting or do it at another meeting? Science of reading, do we want to, I think we're going to be running out of time.
Yeah, I yield to you for thinking about how long a lot of this might take. I would really like, if we get into a 45-minute conversation, we get into a 45, because we don't do that. We can't do that.
Right.
Right.
So I would
Okay.
look at you if everybody else is okay with that.
I think maybe have a couple of items that are like, we could push them to somewhere else. They're on there, but if we don't get to them, we don't get to them.
Okay.
So I would rather,
Okay.
take our time.
Maybe that could be part of, I'll do that, but that maybe that also could be part of the board calendar piece as we take a look at some future meetings.
Sure.
Put those things, those pieces, we can spend some time planning on that. Okay. So I will put some thoughts together and I'll get that out to everybody just to see if that's kind of the road we want to go down. Okay. Sounds good. Mr. Carrera, I will get with you about a time, whether it's at the beginning or end or one of the bookends or something, give you a specific time.
Thank you.
Okay.
That way people can plan. We want as many people to be able to be there as possible. So.
You don't want to come to the whole thing?
I wish.
I would say just be as flexible with that. If they want to come, we'll
Sure.
take the rest.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds good. All right, and then next, we're good with that. Enrollment update. So, Mr. Lyman can probably also attest to this. There are many ways to count the number of students that we have in the school district. And that sounds like a crazy thought, but it really is, just because kindergarten, for example, if kids are there, you know, if they're in purple gold, we count that student as a one student, or we count that student as a half student. Well, it depends on, you know, financially they're half a student kind of. And so we're trying to figure out the number of ways to count students. But for this purpose, we're trying to figure out, you know, building space as we're looking at facilities and so forth. So actually, students in seats. And so just that phrase means these are students that are actually in our building. They aren't maybe a student that is at another educational facility, but they're our student. No, these are students that are in our specific school. So this is K to 12. It doesn't involve preschool. These are the numbers from 2018-19 school year to 2023-24. And So as we look at facilities and also look at the impact of possibly new developments also, as one is coming in west of the middle school here in the near future, what our numbers look like, and as you look around our community, a lot of development going on, and would think that we would have a boom in enrollment. And for whatever reason, we've been fairly steady. So 2018-19, we were at 2699. And this school year, we're at 2693. You see the big COVID dip there with 2021 and 21-22. But and actually our biggest year of enrollment is 2006. So we've been fairly steady from 2000 or so on until today. We're at the 2,700 mark. And so this is obviously something that we keep a very close eye on as we try to figure out enrollment, figure out staffing. And what is kind of hitting us now is some classes their enrollment are much different than the class maybe in front of them or behind or in front of them, either way. And so especially at the elementary level, one year they may have 9 or 10 teachers in that grade level. The next year you only have 8 or 9 just because those numbers fluctuate. And we try to be cognizant of our class size, but also cognizant of our staffing needs also. So this is just to share some information with the school board and with the community. Again, I shared this information as I just talked about at a Sugarcreek Township Board, Sugarcreek Township trustee meeting regarding the developments happening west of us. So this is, like I said, this is something we keep a very close eye on. And we're okay with room in our current facilities. But as we specialize a little bit more in the needs of our students, and then also if class sizes are a little smaller than they have been in the past, that all takes up more space. So we try to be as creative as possible. We try to utilize our schools as much as possible. I would say we have a huge amount of extra space, but I wouldn't say that we're using every single inch either. So keeping a close eye on this, especially as we are looking at our facilities and our district goals. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
I know people always look to all the development in our area, presuming it's going to go up. I'm curious to see if the new voucher program implemented in Ohio has the opposite or offset. I think there's potential to see people who previously may have wanted to attend a private school and couldn't afford it now start to do that. So that it'll be interesting. When you look at trend data, that's a trend. I don't think we know how that will impact us.
No.
It's just something I just keep in the back of my head, not hoping for it or against it, just knowing that that's a big change that we don't know how it's going to impact Bellbrook. I think it's going to impact Bellbrook very differently than it impacts lots of other schools. Yeah,
because it is based on income of the family and on sliding scales. So family income at the higher level is a much smaller amount on those vouchers, whereas in other communities maybe, as you look at our data from our community, our average income of families is pretty high.
Right.
And so it doesn't mean that there aren't people on the whole scale of the socioeconomic scale.
I just bring it up as a curiosity. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts our enrollment, or if it does at all.
Anything else, sir?
All right, that's it.
Any last items for discussion? I will take a motion from somebody to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Anderson and then Mrs. Dorn. Mr. Lyman, please call the roll for adjournment.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:56. Thank you very much, everybody, for